Hey there, nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back to another episode of Tales from the Tackle Zone. This is a series that is dedicated to our studio's Blood Bowl Battle Reports, and this is Season 2 and Battle Report number 5. This is a game that takes place in the Old World Conference. It is fought between the Dwarf Giants of the Dwarves, played by my friend Iron Major, who also happens to be the terrain wizard who made all the beautiful terrain that you're seeing on this battlefield and on every single battlefield that we do on this channel. Dude is a genius. Versus me. I am playing the Scarcrag Snivelers, which is my Goblin team, and this is my very first game in the Old World Conference, and I'm super excited to see exactly how I do. So as you can see, we got our dugouts set out, we got our fans in attendance, as well as the High King, with King Eric. He's here actually to watch the show. Same thing with Joseph Bugman. At the same time, for the Goblin team, we also have Grom the Paunch. He's made an appearance, as well as the team's owner, which is Skarsnik and Gobla, the Night Goblins, the Warlord of Eight Peaks. He is the actual owner of the Scarcrag Snivelers. So that being said, we're going to play some background music real quick. As the music is playing, we'll show you videos of both teams as well as the rosters. If you want to see exactly what we're bringing for this one, go ahead and pause and take a look at your own leisure. So with that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll. Alright, so that takes us directly to the kickoff. As you can see, our fan factors are fully in effect. For Iron Major, he's got a fan factor of 2, while I have a fan factor of 4. So as you can see, I have a lot more fans for my team than anywhere else. So the ball has been kicked off, and so let's go and talk about exactly where it landed. So originally, it landed in this square over here, right between these two players. However, when we rolled up for the kick-on table, we actually, I think, rolled open snap is what it's called. Iron Major got D3 plus 1, D3 plus 3 of his players could actually move forward 1 additional square forward. And so because they got 4 of those guys, he actually had his Dwarf Slayer over here. That guy's name is, let me look up his name real quick. His name is Norwin Zacharansson. He actually moves up forward to the line of scrimmage as well. He also has one of his blockers also moved to a line as well. But probably the most dramatic thing was his 2 runners. Those guys actually moved up forward to squares as well. His runner, Othgrin Zakmirson, which is this guy up here on the top, actually moved into the box where the ball bounced in. So because that, he's able to pass his agility test and to pick up that ball as well. Meanwhile, his second runner, Tharbor Oaklikson. There you go. My buddy Iron Major chose like some really complicated names for these guys. He actually moves in order to help him support him as well. So because the kickoff is now over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 1, and Iron Major gets to go first. Alright, so we're back with the top of turn number 1 for my buddy Iron Major. As you can see, for the most part, a lot of the action took place primarily up here in the top of the white zone. The first thing that ended up happening is that my opponent Iron Major activated Barrison, his blitzer, who did a blitz move directly onto player number 2, which is Brickle is his name, is one of my goblins. Managed to push him directly towards the sideline, at the same time open this up. Meanwhile, he moves up his blocker, number 5, Grimgron Skarrickson. He moves into position in order to mark that player, while his 2 runners, Othgrim Zakmirson as well as Tharbor Olekson, actually move up directly from their starting position directly to the top wide zone. Now at the same time, he also moves a couple more of his players. He's got his Troll Slayers as his blitzer, marking a couple of my players as well. And he actually starts pushing around my main line right here in the main line of scrimmage. He was able to push back my Troll Thogrut Stompa, actually managed to push him back, but the big difference, though, happened over here with Dwarf player number 10. His name is Scarcrag Snivelers. He tries to throw a block directly into my Fanatic, which his name is Madgov Lakepooler. Unfortunately, though, he got a player knockdown result, so because of that, he gets knocked down. Doesn't penetrate his armor, but that pretty much ends his first activation for his first drive on this one. So now that we're done with the top of turn number 1, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 1 for the Scarcrag Snivelers. Alright, so we're back at the bottom of turn number 1 for the Scarcrag Snivelers. As you can see, some action has taken place primarily in the main center line of scrimmage, as well as in the wide zone at the top as well. So let's go and talk about exactly what happened. So player number 15, which is my Fanatic Madgrove Leg Puller, he actually randomly determines where he goes. So he basically pushed forward, was able to push some of these blockers out of the way as he goes forward with his ball and chain. Meanwhile, same thing with my player 0, which is Rock Brena, which is one of my trolls. He actually managed to push back one of these guys up here on the top. Same thing with my second troll number X, which is Philgot Stampa. He also moves forward as well, causing a chain push back with these players right over here. So because of that, they're doing pretty good. Up here on the top, the most impressive thing, though, was my player number 1. His name is Hood or Two-Face. He is a Goblin. He actually did a blitz action, moving directly from behind the line of scrimmage, weaving through the line of scrimmage, and knocking directly into Tharbor Olaxen, which is one of the runners. Managed to push that guy back, too. Also marking Iron Major's runner, Thorngren Zakmirson, so that way he has to take an initiative test, agility test, if he wants to escape out of his tackle zone. However, the main problem came over here with player number 6. Player number 6, which was Bursnak is his name. He tries to throw a block directly into this player. That's player number 5, I believe. Yep. They're trying to go directly into player number 5, Gim Grand Scarrickson, and roll the player down result, so causing an immediate turnover. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 with Iron Major. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of turn number 2 for Iron Major. As you can see, quite a bit of action has taken place over here on the pitch. As you can see, a lot of the Dwarf players started to push back my line of scrimmage, heading directly to some of my secret players. At the same time, they managed to knock over one of my trolls, which is kind of sad as well. However, though, the biggest, probably the most dramatic movement took place with player number 5. He's a blocker named Gimgrad Skarrickson. He decided to throw a blitz directly into player number 1, which is my team captain Hood or Two-Face. Managed to push him out of the way. What this did is actually cause a giant pocket to erupt right here in the wide zone, especially when this blitzer, player number 3, Berlin Berenson, managed to push back my other player, player number 2, Brickle, directly into the crowd. Managed to get beat up and thrown back in, and he is currently stunned right now. Because there was this opening that took place, there was no one in the way. From there, my Iron Major then activated Othgren Zakmirson, who basically moved up his max movement allowance, exploiting that gap, moving all the way directly towards the end zone. And then finally also has his second runner, Tharbor Olixon, get back on his feet and also come in for support as well. So I do have my work cut out for me because I don't really have much in terms of my backfield except for these guys, except one of them is being marked, so I do have my work cut out for me. So with the end of turn number 2 over with at the top, we go to the bottom of turn number 2 for the Scarcrag Snivelers. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of the bottom of turn number 2 for the Goblins, and this is of course after all of my turns. For the most part, just pretty much the same old. My guys pretty much got back on their feet again, so they really couldn't do much of anything. My trolls did exactly the same thing for the most part. What's his name? Thorgot Stampa got back on his feet. However, my other troll, Rockgut Brena, he actually failed his stupidity test because that he just kind of stood around and did nothing. However, player number 15, though, my ball and chain fanatic Madgrove Leg Puller, he did manage to push back this player and actually go forward. The reason why is because I have no real direction where he goes. He just kind of randomly travels in different directions for the most part. However, perhaps the biggest, or actually the most impactful hit took place over here with player number 8. His name is Bazin. Bazin actually moved from this direction and did a blitz. Managed to push Othgren and Zakmirson directly towards the line of scrimmage. At the same time, I also brought out some of my secret players as well. I brought my Pogoer, Snotcode Annoying. He actually moved all the way from down here, if you can believe it, actually rushing forward directly to get within the tackle zone of Zakmirson, so that way he has a harder time at dodging. I did exactly the same thing with my Doomdiver Skregka Madjaw. He actually moved as quick as he can as well, rushing forward one square as well to get in that position, so that way they can interfere with Othgren Zakmirson as he makes his way directly towards the end zone. And that pretty much makes up turn number 2 for me. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 3. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of turn number 3 for Iron Major. As you can see, a couple of things have happened. Managed to knock down a couple of my players right here in the bottom of the white zone, as well as push around my trolls a little bit on the top as well. However, the biggest impact, took place up here in the top. As you can see, Othgren Zakmirson actually hugged along the sideline, making his way directly. He actually rushed twice, but just one square away from making the end zone, which is kind of good for me because if I'm lucky, hopefully I could blitz him with my Doomdiver, maybe to make him to drop the ball, or whatever the case may be. However, his other blitzer, Berlin Barrison, as well as other runner Tharbor Olixon, are close and behind pursuit, trying to catch up to him and keep him protected, so that way he can make it directly to the end zone. So with the top of turn number 3 over with, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 3 for the Scarcrag Snivelers. So we're now back to the bottom of turn number 3, and for the most part, as you can see, most of the action took place up here in the top corner. What I did is I put most of my players directly around Othgrin Zakmirson, so that way I could actually check him, and that's actually where it comes in. Scarcrag Madjaw actually slips right in and does a blitz directly into him, pushing him into the crowd, giving him a stun result. So he's laying back on the ground now, and he's currently knocked out. When the crowd threw the ball back in, it threw directly straight ahead 4 spaces, landing just short of the end zone. And that's exactly when I sent this player in. Player number 6, named as Beersnack. He actually ran all the way across the field, rushing forward and patching his agility test to pick up the ball, so now I have possession of the ball. Meanwhile, over here in the center, I have my trolls continue their abusing people, beating people up here in the center, and meanwhile down over here I got people staying back on their feet again. Now, as you can see, I actually have a lot of wide open space I can actually travel through. I could actually cut through here, the top wide zone, and try to make it directly to the end of the field. At the same time, I could also run through this area as well. So I have a lot of options open to me right now. The problem is, can I exploit those later on? So with the bottom of turn number 3 over with, you go directly to the top of turn number 4 for Iron Major. Alright, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 4 for Iron Major, as well as the Dwarf Giants. Now, we had a question about this, and we think we did this right. But we'll go and talk about exactly what ended up happening. The biggest play took place over here with player number 3. He is a Dwarf Blitzer Berlin Byronson. Actually ran a blitz directly from the edge of the wide zone directly towards player number 6, whose name is Beersnack, and he actually got a push result on him when he actually went for the block, which would actually push him back 1 square directly into the Goblin end zone, even though he's in possession of the ball. Now, we read the rules, and we think how the rules basically states that it doesn't matter which player has the ball, so long as a player is in possession of that ball, and if they're in the end zone, that actually counts as a touchdown. So what we're assuming is that because Berenson pushed my player into my end zone with possession of the ball, that means that the Dwarf Giants actually scored a touchdown, is what we actually think would happen. So we're not really sure. We don't really have time to look it up. So let us know in the comments down below if we made the right call or not. But either way, regardless of the situation, touchdown for Iron Major. So just like that, Iron Major scored his very first touchdown for Season 2 of our campaign. So he moved his Blood Bowl coin over to represent that fact. So we're going to take a quick break real quick, re-rack, and this time the Dwarves will be kicking the ball off to me, and we'll proceed for the rest of the first half. Alright, so now we're back with the kickoff. As you can see, our teams are now fully lined up along the line of scrimmage, getting ready for the kickoff. Unfortunately for me, my Fanatic Mad Gab leg puller, he actually got sent off the field. I did try to argue the call, but it didn't matter though. He got sent off. So maybe my next thing I need to do now is start paying for some bribes so that I can keep my secret weapons on the field. Meanwhile, when the ball kicked, the kick actually landed right between my Pogoer as well as my Doom Diver. However, when the kickoff result, it was a high kick. So because I was able to move up my Doom Diver, Scarcrag Madjaw, he actually moved directly into the square where the ball landed. He actually passed his agility test, so he caught the ball, so it's good to go. So that being said, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 4 for the Scarcrag Snivelers. Alright, so that takes us right to the bottom of turn number 4 for the Goblins. As you can see for the Scarcrag Snivelers, mainly push a lot of these guys directly out of the line of scrimmage, pushing them back and also taking up blocking positions. However, perhaps the most dramatic movement, though, took place right over here in the center line. What ended up happening is that my Doom Diver, Scarcrag Madjaw, he actually moved directly all the way across the line of the field, directly to my troll, Thulgut Stompa. Thulgut Stompa, of course, did use his throw teammate ability directly onto him, and he catapulted him 6 spaces all the way over. But luckily for me, though, even though the throw was a normal throw with my -1 modifier, I stuck the landing no problem. But I also used my swoop ability that I have for my player as well, so he can travel 3 more squares forward, traveling 9 squares in total. He is actually 3 squares away from the end zone, so things are looking really good for my team right now. The only problem is I realize that he is all by himself, and there's a whole bunch of dwarves that could probably come after him, so I do have my work cut out for me for turn number 5. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 5 for Iron Major. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of turn number 5 for Iron Major. I forgot to mention that in the last play, one of his players, player number 10, Scarcrag Snivelers, he actually got knocked out by one of my players, getting an assist. So because that he is knocked out, I forgot to mention that last time. But however, at the top of turn number 5, as you see, a lot of dramatic action took place directly over here at the end zone, especially. So over here, player number 1, player number 1, Othgrin Zakmirson, he's one of his runners, actually moved directly all the way from the wide zone and moved as fast as he could, rushing directly towards my Doom Diver, Skagba Madjaw, tried to do a block action directly into him for part of his blitz. He managed to get down either player down or a push. So he decided to go for a push. He pushed me forward 1 square, so not much happened there. From there, he then also threw a block with one of his players directly into the line of scrimmage, freeing up his Troll Slayer, Noren Zakaranson, who moved as quickly as he can, doing 2 rushes forward, but just fell short of actually trying to get to my tackle zone. So because that's perfectly fine there. However, over here on the top, though, with this player, I believe that's player number 5, I'm sorry. Player 5, that's name is Gimgron Scarcrag. So he does try to throw a block with his assist directly into my troll. Full got Stompa, but unfortunate for him, though, he did get knocked out. He gets stunned, so because he was laying face down, so we got player down, and that pretty much ends up causing immediate turnover for turn number 5 for Iron Major. So that being said, we go directly to turn number 5 for the Scarcrag Snivelers. Alright, so that takes us directly to the bottom of turn number 5, and the first thing I do, of course, is activate my Doom Diver. My Doom Diver, Skag Madjaw, he managed to pass agility test to get out of the tackle zone of off-grim Zach Mirelson, and he makes directly to the end zone, and touchdown number 1 for the Scarcrag Snivelers. So just like that now, Iron Major and I are both tied 1-1. So because of that, we're going to take a quick break real quick while we re-rack and prepare for kickoff. Alright, so now we're back for the kickoff. As you can see, both teams have been fully assembled. I'm kicking out to the Dwarves. After the ball bounced, it bounced over directly towards the line of scrimmage right over there in the middle of the table. However, when it came to the kickoff table, the problem is I rolled a 3 for the kickoff event, which means that the timeout basically was called, and since we were both in turn 5, it means that we advanced forward 1 more square, so now we're both in turn 6. So basically because of that, we lost a turn because of that timeout sequence. So because of that, we go directly to the top of turn number 7 for Iron Major. We'll be back after his actions. So that takes directly to the top of turn number 7. As you can see, quite a bit of action is taking place here, directly on the bottom of the wide zone over here. As you can see, Iron Major pushed several of these players out of the way, making a entry point for him, for his troop to actually go through and breach through my line and head directly to my end zone. Now, during the scrimmage, of course, during the play, player number, I believe that guy, which guy is that? That is one of his runners, Tharbord. There we go, Tharbord Olixon. He actually moves up and actually picks the ball, moves up forward, with Othgren Zachmerson also helping him out as well, going into cover. So it looks like my opponent is going to try to duck down over this area and actually push through it that way. Meanwhile, in the center, not much action really took place there. I really don't blame Iron Major because my trolls are so strong that if he fail, I get to pick a really devastating one and really mess him up. However, in the top wide zone, though, he does manage to push back a couple of my goblins as well. And that pretty much makes up his turn for turn number 7. So with turn number 7 over with, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 7 for the Scarcrag Snivelers. Alright, so going for the bottom of turn number 7, as you can see for the Scarcrag Snivelers, not much really happened for the most part. I mean, I just push people around, try to cause as much chaos as I possibly can in order to stop Iron Major from sending Tharbor Olixon directly through this pocket. So as you can see right here, I have a bunch of my goblins moving into place, push a couple of people around, same thing with my trolls, and directly towards that runner. Now, the thing that caused a turnover, though, was over here on the top. Unfortunately, I did try to get player number 2, which was, his name is Brickle. He does try to throw a block directly into Berlin Berenson, the Blitzer. Got a both down results because that caused immediate changeover. So because that takes directly to the top of turn number 8 for the first half. Alright, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 8 for Iron Major and for the Dwarves. And as you can see, he does manage to pull his plan off, managed to shove a couple of my players out of the way, making that hole in the line so that way his runner can run through. Unfortunately, even though he made it all the way through, this is his very last turn. He's got way too much landscape to go for. So because of that, he's not going to be able to get a touchdown too easily. So because of that, that pretty much makes up his turn as well. And since there's no one going to be able to make another touchdown on top of that, I decided to take a knee. So because of that, that ends the first half of this game. So with that being said, we're going to rearrange and re-rack for the second half. We'll be back for that. Alright, so that takes us right back to the kickoff. As you can see, both of our teams are now lined up along the line of scrimmage for the most part. I'm the one receiving the ball in this second half. The ball, of course, does land originally and directly between my two players here, but it bounced all the way up here to the up, right next to my pogoer. So luckily for me, I'll be able to grab that ball real fast for my pogoer. Snot code annoying. Hopefully he can grab that and then run with the ball as well. Unfortunately, we rolled for this one. We once again rolled another 3 on this one, which is timeout, which means that both of our turn markers got moved up to turn number 2. So because of that, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for my team, the Scarcrag Snivelers. Alright, so we begin at turn number 3 because of the timeout rule, and as you can see from most of my team members, they pretty much just moved up for the most part, just kind of moving up forward, getting into blocking position to keep these guys from escaping my tackle zones for the most part. The big play, however, took place over here with my character Rock. Braina managed to make a hole right over here in the line. Same thing with my Loon, for example, my Loony Arm of the Chainsaw. Rucksnag Snarptooth was able to put the hurt directly onto Norin Zakagronson, which is the Troll Slayer. Managed to put a knockout on him. So because he is now currently in the knockout box, rolling a 9 for him, so that part was excellent. So because my opponent is now 1 player short. At the same time, I also had the ball being grabbed by my Doomdiver Scarcrag Madjaw. He goes directly behind Thalgut Stampa, who then throws him. He actually suffers -1 for the penalty on the throw. So because I do fly forward, I do also use my swoop ability to land 3 extra squares forward, directly straight ahead. So I'm pretty close directly to the end zone, and I stick the landing by rolling a 6. So I'm perfectly fine on that one. Now, I did have to use one of my rerolls to get that 6 to land, but pretty much still there, so everything is going gravy so far. So that being said, we go directly to the top bottom of turn number 3 for the Dwarves. Alright, so we go to the bottom of turn number 3, and unfortunately Iron Major had a pretty short-lived one. What he decided to do is activate one of his blocker, player number 5. We got pushed out of the way by one of my trolls earlier, Gimron Scarrickson. He did try to make a blitz moving all the way directly towards my my head turned to my Doomdiver, but unfortunately for him, though, when he went to go rush it, he rolled a 1, so he burned up one of his rerolls in order to actually reroll that, and unfortunately rolled a second one again, so because he does stumble, causing immediate turnover back to the top of turn number 4. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 4 for the Scarcrag Snivelers. Alright, with that we go directly to the top of turn number 4, and for my very first activation, activated my Doomdiver. So because that Scarcrag Magjaw makes it directly to the end zone, and touchdown number 2 for my team, the Scarcrag Snivelers. So just like that, we end up with that turn, and we have 2 touchdowns as opposed to 1 for Iron Major. So because I would go back and re-rack and get ready for the kickoff. We'll be back when we rock for that one. Alright, so we're back for the kickoff. As you can see, both teams have been fully assembled now in their respective areas. Unfortunately for Iron Major, when he received the ball, he rolled the Ophius Ref. So because of that, we both had a roll to see who of us would have the better factor. I have a higher fan factor, so because I won the roll-off. And player number 3, which is Iron Major's Blitzer, Berlin Barrison, he actually rolled a 1. So because he gets sent off the field for the rest of the game. So just like that, Iron Major loses one of his Blitzers as well. Same thing happened to me. I lost both of my secret weapons as well. So both of my players, my Looney, Rucksnag, Sharptooth, as well as my Grab, Leg Puller, my Fanatic, they both got sent off as well. I'm thinking that maybe buying some bribes might be in my future so that way I can keep my secret weapons around. But to add insult to injury, the ball also bounced 1 square just short of the touchdown zone. So because Iron Major does have his work planned out for him for the rest of the turn in order to get another touchdown. So that being said, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 4 for Iron Major. So with that, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 4 for Iron Major, and unfortunately for him, disaster strikes. The first thing that ends up happening is that he actually sends back Othgrun Zakmirson to go back to pick up the ball, and he does, and he goes back, but he does try to rush it. He actually tries to go for it twice, so that way he can close the distance, so that way he can go for another touchdown. Unfortunately for him, though, for his second try, he rolled a 1. It's because of that the ball does scatter 1 space over, which causes immediate turnover for Iron Major. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 5 for the Scarcrag Snivelers. Alright, so I take directly to the top of turn number 5, and the Scarcrag Snivelers get to go first. As you can see here, I actually caused all kinds of carnage over here in the line of scrimmage, pushing back a lot of these guys using a lot of support blocks in order to do so. The most dramatic which of those was player number 6. His name is Beersnack. He actually managed to put player number 10, Scarcrag Kagligson, directly knocked him out with a 9 on that one. So because he is in the knockout box right now, so now my opponent is down 2 players. Now to make things absolutely worse for my player as well, I decided to once again use my Doomdiver to close a distance. As you can see, I moved up directly with what's his name? Always keep on forgetting my name. Scarcrag Madjaw, there we go. He moves up right behind player X, which is Thilga Stampa, which is the Troll. The Troll does throw him, landing a perfect 5 on that one, which I had to, of course, use one of my rerolls. Actually, put it down right there. I had to use one of my rerolls in order to make that happen. So because of that, he did fly through the air. I also used my swoop ability to move up 3 squares forward, just going straight ahead, moving up 9 squares in total, and I landed with the perfect landing with a 6 on that one. So that part was epic as well. At the same time, since there are now holes in the line of scrimmage, I do send a couple of my players swarming through in order to pick up that ball. So that way I can send them directly towards the end zone and hopefully score another touchdown and securing a win for my team as well. So with that being said, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 5 for Iron Major. All right, so we go to the bottom of turn number 5, and do you believe in miracles? Because something miraculous just happened. As you can see in this video, some crazy things happen. So first of all Althgren Zachmerson actually gets up, moves and picks the ball, and then actually runs back to spaces, back to his starting position. He then does a throw, and he rolls a perfect 6, Iron Major does, and goes directly into player number 9, which is one of his blitzers named Scarcrag Snivelers is his name. He actually catches the ball. Not only does he catch the ball perfectly, but he also moves up forward as well, going his maximum movement of 7 squares. He actually goes for it twice by rushing and gets it both times, and so he's got a wide open space directly that way with no one standing in his way. So it looks like that my buddy Iron Major is trying to tie up the game before it ends, and I realize now that I have all my players moving up forward. Did not expect something miraculous like that to happen, so now I got my work cut out for me as I turn around and try to go chase him back down now, because woo! I did not see that coming for Iron Major. That part was absolutely insane. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 6, and I get to go first. Alright, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 6, and so the first thing I do, of course, is activate one of my trolls. He passes a stupidity test, but unfortunately for me, though, my troll, Rockgut Bracca, he tries to run and does a blitz directly towards player number 9, which is Scarcrag Snivelers. Unfortunately for me, when I rolled my dice, I rolled a player down, both knocked down, and a push, I think is what it was. So I realized that was actually a bad combination. So because I did use one of my re-rolls in order to try to stop that, use my very last re-roll for this half. Unfortunately for me, though, I rolled 3 player downs when I rolled for that third one. So because I get knocked down, and the cause immediate changeover leads back to Iron Major. So with that being said, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 6 for Iron Major. So we go to the bottom of turn number 6, and just like that, Iron Major scores a touchdown, number 2, for his team, the Dwarf Giants. Now, unfortunately for him, in order to get that across for Scarcrag Snivelers, he did have to rush it twice. On his first one, he made it no problem, but his second one, though, he rolled a 1. So because of that, Iron Major did blast up his very last reroll for him to make that last one. He makes it successfully to the end zone. So just like that, Iron Major now has 2 touchdowns, and so do I. And now we only have 2 turns left to try to make a difference. With that being said, we're going to re-rack real quick, and we'll come back here in a second. Alright, so we're back for the kickoff real quick. As you can see, both of our teams are lined up ready to go. Unfortunately for me, though, the ball, fortunately for me, the ball originally was supposed to land right here, smack dab in the middle. For the kickoff table, it ended up being, changing weather, but we rolled perfect weather once again, but the ball bounced 7 squares all the way over here to the 7 o'clock position. Originally 6 squares, and then when it scattered one last time, it bounced over 1 more square. So it's right almost near the line of scrimmage, which is great. So this is both good and bad for myself as well as for my team members, as well as for Iron Major, because the ball is within distance where he could actually grab the ball if he's really quick enough and actually run it back to my end zone. But at the same time, it's also quick for my players to actually take the ball and exploit it. So we got to see exactly how this is going to play out. So with that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 7, and I get to go first. Alright, so we go directly to the top of turn number 7 for the Scarcrag Snivelers. So the first thing I do, of course, is get player number 6. Player number 6's name is Biersnick. He actually moves up, grabs the ball, and actually rushes twice, heading directly towards the end zone, trying to score a 3rd touchdown at the same time. Meanwhile, I had my troll exercise a blitz over here, managed to put these guys within my blocking zones as well as marking them. At the same time, the same thing was happening over here on the top. I also move up my Pogoer as well as my Doom Diver, so that way they can provide assistance if they possibly can. However, though, the turn ended prematurely, though, when player number 3, his name is Grogos, tried to do a block directly into the player, got both the players down. So because of that, caused immediate turnover for Iron Major. So with that being said, we go directly to the bottom, turn number 7 for Iron Major. So we go to the bottom of turn number 7 real quick, so let's go ahead and talk about what happened. I forgot to mention also earlier that his Troll Slayer, Noren Zagronson for Iron Major, was also knocked out as well. He got knocked out when my Troll Thil got Stompa, so I forgot to mention that as well. However, in turn number 7, though, disaster strikes for Iron Major. He does try to escape the tackle zone of one of my Trolls with Althgren Zachmerson, but Rockgul Brena was in his tackle zone. He did try to pass with his agility test, but unfortunately he rolled a 1, and he has no more rerolls, so because of that, pretty much caused a turnover and ends his turn prematurely as well. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 8 for the Scarcrag Snivelers. So we go directly to the top of turn number 8, and disaster strikes. Oh my god, he could have been somebody. So one of my team members, team number 6, that's Biersnick, he tries to go for it. He actually goes maximum lines, tries to rush it 2 more squares, Passes the first one, tries to go the second time, but I roll a 1. And disaster strikes because I don't have a reroll. So because that he does fall, the ball bounces into the crowd, and the crowd throws it all the way back over to this direction, and it lands right in the middle of the end zone right there. And because our Major realizes he's not going to be able to pull off anything by one more turn, we call the game, and for the first time ever in our league so far, we have a draw between the Scarcrag Snivelers as well as the Dwarf Giants with 2 touchdowns apiece. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go directly to the post game because this game is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
I thought about staying. They offered me the chance to lead them, to teach them, to be king.
Uh-huh.
But my place is here, so I swallowed the juice, said the words, and here I am.
Did you say the words right this time?
Well, maybe I didn't say every single tiny little syllable, no, but basically I said them, yeah. Basically.
All right, now it's time for the post game. So first of all, starting off with the Dwarf Giants, which is the Dwarven team played by Iron Major. For his outcome, it ended up being a draw. He managed to score 2 touchdowns as well as score 1 league point. At the same time, for the winnings, he was able to raise 50,000 gold pieces. Now, there's no change in his dedicated fans because it ended in a draw. He doesn't suffer any injuries either. And for his advancements, 3 members of his team leveled up. Berlin Barrison, his blitzer, who's player number 3, actually learned the pro skill, increasing his value by 10,000 credits. Player number 9, which is his second blister, Firmacrag Cadgunson, learned the multiple block skill and also increased his value by 10,000 credits. If I play number 10, who is a blocker, his name is Zagrag Kazglson. He actually leveled up as well because he got the MVP, and he also learned the Fend skill, raising his value by 10,000 credits as well. Now for his inducements, he managed to score 5,000 gold pieces in his treasury and managed to raise up 50,000 gold pieces from the game, giving him 55,000 gold pieces in total. He decided to place that directly into his treasury and just kind of hold on for now. His new record now is at 0 wins, 0 losses, as well as 1 draw, and his new team rating is at 1,025 points. Now let's talk about my team, the Scarcrag Snivelers. For the outcome, and this one ended up being a draw, I managed to score 2 touchdowns as well as earn 1 league point as well for the Old World Conference. Now for the winnings, I was able to drum up 50,000 gold pieces. There was no change to my dedicated fans because it was a draw and I don't suffer any injuries at this time. Now for advancements, 2 members of my team actually leveled up. Player number 15, who's my fanatic, Magrub Lake Pooler, actually got the MVP on this one. He learned the Mighty Blow skill, giving +1, and at the same time also earning 10,000 gold crowns as well, increasing his value that way. And then lastly, player number 17 was Skradka Madjaw, who was my Doom Diver. He actually earned up 6 star player points and decided to choose the sprint skill so that way he can go up to 3 squares when he rushes, and at the same time increasing his value by 20,000 gold pieces as well. Now for inducements, I managed to have 25,000 gold pieces in my treasury. I earned 50,000 credits, gold crowns from the game as well, and I decided to spend 50,000 of that 75,000 gold pieces for a bribe. So now I have 1 bribe inducement for my team, so that way my secret weapons can actually stay on the pitch this time around. That leaves me 25,000 gold pieces to leave in my treasury. My current record now is at 0 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw, and my new team rating now is at 1,055 points. So that's going to do it for this week, guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest, greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this one, you guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.